You know why I really love Nick Hood as a minister? I watched his father do it, and he took over for the church, and he was one of us, but he really turned out to be a great minister. I know it's hard, and that's something that I know that all ministers may not be doing what they're doing because for the right reasons, but I know it's hard. I know he's a beautiful man, and we've been knowing each other for over 50 years. I believe in him. He's inspired me in so many ways to do what I'm doing and try to be the best at it. Make sure you watch Nick Hood's ministries. You'll never be the same.
And the point that I'm making is that in everybody's life, at some point, there's a plan B. God is talking to us every step of the way. God is trying to show you something every step of the way. When things seem to be going wrong, that's God's way of opening another door. I am convinced that God has been directing me every step of my life.
On the Word Network. This is a new ministry which is just starting. Reverend Hood needs your help in sharing the good news of Jesus Christ and His power throughout the world. If you would be so kind as to send a donation to Nicholas Hood III Ministries of any amount, Reverend Hood will send you a free complimentary copy of his book of original personal prayers and beautiful photographs entitled The Test, The Strength, The Endurance, and The Way Out.
Love hopes all things. Love hopes all things. If we were in church, I'd say, repeat after me. Love hopes all things. From 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 7, the Apostle Paul says, love hopes all things. I'm in the middle of a series of sermons back in Detroit about the elements of love, and one of them is hope. And what does it mean when the Apostle Paul says in verse 7, love hopes all things? All things, not some things, not a few things, but love hopes all things. If you are trying to gauge your love, trying to score your love, if you were asking yourself, how does my love measure up to the expectations of God? How do I even know if the person that I think I love is loving me in the right way? And how do I know if I'm loving them in the right way? One of those criteria is hope. And the Apostle Paul says a real love is a love that hopes all things. Just to refresh your memory, in the context of 1 Corinthians 13, starting at verse 1, listen to what Paul says about love and what love is not. He begins by saying, if I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have prophetic powers, if I understand all mysteries, and if I have all faith so as to move mountains, but if I have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, if I give away my body to be burned, but if I have not love, I am nothing. Then Paul tells us what love is. He says, love is patient. He doesn't say love is tender and love is lovey-dovey. He says love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not jealous or boastful, arrogant, resentful, irritable, or rude. But rather, love bears all things, love believes all things, love hopes all things, love endures all things, love never ends. So for today, I want to focus on that one element, that one word, hope. Love hopes all things. And what does that mean? On the one hand, to hope all things means that your love ought to be positive. It means that if you have committed in love to somebody, then you are hoping the best for them. You are hoping that they can be the best person they can be. You're hoping that your marriage can be the best that it can be. And you're hoping the best for the drug addict. You're hoping that they can kick the habit. For the alcoholic, the lover in you ought to be one who hopes that they can rise above their alcoholism. For the non-believer, the person who really struggles with faith, who struggles with the concept of God, who struggles with the idea of a Jesus Christ who loved us enough to give his life that you and I might be free from sin and granted life everlasting in that kingdom which has no end. That's a hope. As a matter of fact, at the church, we sing songs about it. We sing a song, "My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand." And so hope and belief go together. Belief is your faith. Hope is your dream. And the dream of the church is built upon the faith of the church. And because of a concrete faith that believes that Jesus was a real person, the Son of God, he lived in a real place we call Israel. He died a certified death on a cross, and he rose from the grave. And because of this, we believe that Jesus has freed the bondage of sin for you and me. And it's hard for some people to see that. But for those of us who believe, and I am a believer, for those of us who believe, we believe that this is really the hope of the church. You know, there's nothing worse and nothing sadder to me than an idle hope. The idle hope is like a pipe dream. The idle hope is where a person hopes for something. They hope for a better life, but they don't work for a better life. They hope for a dream that they want to be a reality, but they don't work for it. And what do I mean by that? It's one thing to hope that one day you'll play professional football, or to play professional tennis, or one day to dream that you might be a professional musician. But if you don't practice, if you don't prepare yourself, it's unlikely that you're going to achieve that goal. And that is what I mean by an idle hope. An idle hope is where I hope that my child will grow to be a well-adjusted person emotionally and mentally. But if I don't take time to undergird my child's emotions, if I don't take the time to let my child know that my child is a worthwhile individual, is a productive person, is somebody who has been chosen by God to do something wonderful in this world. If I, as a parent, don't take the time to bolster my own child's emotional well-being, but I want them to turn out well, then all I'm doing is suffering with an idle pipe dream. It's an idle hope. But the hope of the faith is not an idle hope. The hope of the faith, my friends, is real. And the hope of the faith is built upon a conviction that it is worthwhile to follow God. And I want to say another thing about hope. To me, there's nothing sadder than a hope that's deferred. And what I mean by that is that sometimes hope is just destroyed. It's destroyed sometimes by our own inner feelings, that we just don't feel good about ourselves. We don't feel like we measure up. We don't feel like we're worthy of receiving some great blessing in life. We don't feel like we're worthy of a good job, worthy of living in a nice house, worthy of driving a nice car, worthy of wearing nice clothes, worthy of having the comforts of life. And sometimes because we don't feel like we're worthy of attaining these blessings, we don't receive these blessings. Another thing that is sad about these hopes that are dashed is that sometimes hope is dashed by other people. I don't know if any of you looking at this have ever had your hopes dashed. You know, where you had a dream of doing this or that, but somebody told you, what makes you think you can do this? What makes you think you can sing? What makes you think you can dance? What makes you think you can get a college education? Nobody else in your family has a college education. What makes you think you can run a business? Nobody else in your family is running a business. What makes you think you can run a business? There's always somebody who wants to dash your dream. My great-grandfather was a runaway slave. His name was Nicholas Hood I. His father was a slave owner named William Hood, the brother of John Bell Hood, who was a colonel, the youngest colonel in the Confederate Army. And my great-grandfather had a dream that he didn't want to live out his life being a slave. And so as a little boy, he and his brother ran away from slavery. Now, it took a lot for him and his little brother to feel like we are worthy of being free. And as things turned out, they ran away from slavery, and he lived out his life as a businessman selling coal in Marion, Indiana. Now, what's the point that I'm making? The point that I'm making is, at some point, it's worth your while to have a dream. Hope is built on dreams. And there's nothing to be ashamed of if you see yourself higher or bigger than where you are right now. But some of us can't progress in life because we're stuck in life. Some of us cannot progress with our lives because we're so consumed with all the things that are not happening right. We're consumed with poverty, consumed with a lack of education, consumed with a relationship that is not going well, consumed with all the mess in life. And to me, what I hear in the Apostle Paul when he says love hopes all things, that means in part love means that you ought to love yourself enough to hope beyond the life of what you are right now. That what God sees in you is a lot more than what you may see in yourself. And so I would encourage you today to think big, to be positive, to be hopeful, to dream, and to dream beyond what you can see. Dream beyond what you can feel. Dream beyond what other people might be calling you. But to look at your life and say, I see myself here, not down here. And I am working on that kingdom. I am working on trying to get to a place where other people may not understand, but not everybody is going to understand your dream. And there may come a point in your life when your mother and your father don't understand it, and just dream on. Keep dreaming. My friends, I'm going to wrap up this part of the show. We'll be back in a minute, and when we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about hope and how hope, you hope all things when you love. Thanks so much for being with me today.
America used to be considered a godly country. It doesn't seem to be that way to me now. And I don't mean to be disrespectful or anything, but it's so many things they're okaying for the wrong reasons. There's not godly reason. People need to really open up the Bible, the Bible, and look in it and really get it into their heart. And this, the way Reverend Hood is doing this is a comfortable way. It's not forcing anything on people. It's a comfortable way and a loving way for it to continue to move in that direction.
The way Reverend Hood presents it, you can understand it, and it makes you want to delve into the Bible even more so that you can see more, because it seems like the program goes off too fast. We need the bread of life.
We really do.
These days, we need it more than ever. And Reverend Hood's ministry on TV is giving us our bread.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for tuning in today to the Nick Hood Ministries program. Today I'm talking about love and how love hopes all things. And if you love somebody, maybe you don't love somebody, but you hope that one day you might find somebody. One of the tests of love is, can you hope? And can you see hope in this relationship? Can you see yourself growing in this relationship? And I'm going to be honest, I met my wife when I was 21. We dated for 3 years. We got married 3 years later at 24. And we've been married now 48 years. And I'm going to be honest, I never imagined growing older. And I never imagined growing old with her. I just thought we'd be young forever. And that may sound ridiculous. But I think it's a wonderful thing if you love somebody enough where you feel like I can hope and imagine that we could grow together. Even if I can't imagine growing old, I hope that we will still love each other as we grow older. And but that's one element of love. The Apostle Paul says that love is patient. I would be looking for patience in a lover. He says love is kind. I would be looking for somebody who's kind. If you're dating somebody who's not kind and who's not patient, then you really need to ask yourself, is this the kind of person I want to be with for the rest of my life? I may not be able to imagine that I'm going to grow old with them, but I can figure out at a young age if I don't want to be with somebody who's not kind or who's not patient. And then, what does he say? Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love is not irritable, resentful, or rude. It's not arrogant. It does not insist on its own way. And I think this is so amazing because the Apostle Paul is at a spiritual high point of his life. He's speaking in tongues. He's giving out prophecy. He is literally transforming the world. He's not the only one. You had the apostles with Jesus who had done their work. But many years after the death of Jesus, you have the Apostle Paul who never met Jesus personally, but the Apostle Paul has given his life to Jesus. And what he realizes, one of the significant things that he's telling us in the book of 1 Corinthians is that for all the spiritual gifts that he has, that if he can speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but if he doesn't have love, he's not much. And frankly, my friends, he's saying the same thing for you and me. You could be the greatest churchgoer in the world, but if you don't have love, you don't have anything. And then as he breaks love down, he says, among other things, love hopes all things. And that's our theme for today. Love hopes all things. And I want to challenge you and ask you, are you able to hope all things? Are you able to hope all things for your wayward child? Are you able to hope all things for a husband or a wife who's lost their way? Are you able to hope all things when you have gone bankrupt, when you can't pay your bills, when your medical bills really supersede your monthly income? Are you able to hope enough to envision a better life? Are you able to hope enough to envision a better world, a better country for the United States of America? A country where people are more friendly toward one another, who can look beyond race, who can look beyond social class and ethnicity. What kind of hope do you have for America? What kind of hope do you have for the world? And I tell you, if you and I are real lovers in the way that the Apostle Paul is stating that love should be, we have to be able to hope all things. Do you have hope for your church? your home church? Do you hope that your church will not only grow numerically, but grow spiritually? What is your hope for your child? What is the hope that you have for the inmate in jail? And so I encourage you to, as Jesse Jackson would say, always keep hope alive. So I want to thank again many of the people who've told me that they have hope in this program. Miss Quintia Harris from Charlotte, North Carolina, who told me, she said, "Reverend, you're different." And I said, "Well, I hope that's different in a good way." She said, "No, you're different." She said, "You're good. And I like your ministry. I like what you were saying." And I said, "Miss Quintina Harris, you made my day." I said, because all I need is just a little bit of hope, a little bit of encouragement from somebody. I said, and today you gave me encouragement. I want to thank Ernest Perry from Vienna, Illinois, and Deborah McIntosh from Mobile, Alabama. And there are many others. But let me just say this. One of the things that I need with this ministry, if you like this ministry, if you think this is worth 30 minutes of your time, 2:30 on Saturday afternoon on the Word Network, then I want you to put your hope into action and consider making a donation to this ministry. It's tax deductible. Ernest Perry from prison in Vienna, Illinois, has been sending me $10 multiple times. I want to thank Delgenia Barber, who's making a regular monthly gift. And I want to thank Lorimer and Jackie Wyatt, who send a check to this ministry at 4535 Chrysler Drive, Detroit, Michigan. And I need your support for two reasons, maybe three. But number one, more important than anything else, I just need to know that, like Miss Quintina Harris, this ministry is meaningful to you. And if you find it meaningful to you, I want you to write me, call me. If you feel so moved, send me a donation. It doesn't go to me. It goes to Nicholas Hood III Ministries. It is a 501c3 nonprofit religious organization. And I need your support. And to me, this is a really exciting ministry. It's exciting because I'm branching out in what I call a multi-dimensional media ministry. Number one, you have the videos, like today. This is part of what I do, but it's not everything. I send out prayers every week, every day, via text message. And if you'd like to receive a text message prayer from me, I pray little blessings. I'll send it to you every day. It won't cost you anything. I also write a blog, and it's a spiritual blog. I don't like that word blog, but that's what they call it. And what a blog is where you type in a Word document on your computer, and it could be very long. It could almost be like a little book. And what I do is I write blog-style meditations several times a week. The theme that I am speaking on today, Love Hopes All Things, I've already published on my blog. You can see it for free. Just go to Nicholas, Nicholas, Hood, Hood, the third, at WordPress.com. I think you could probably get to it if you Googled Nicholas Hood blog. Just type it. You can do it right now on your telephone. And what you'll see is that blog has prayers, it has meditations, it has videos, it has photographs. And these are photographs that I've taken. And that's another form of ministry. I also write a spiritual newsletter every week. I publish it on Mondays. Right now, I'm averaging about 236, 37, 38 people who look at it every week. And I want you to know, I'm like a child. When that email goes out, I look to see who's looking at what I wrote today, who's looking at what I wrote about hope, who's looking at what I wrote about believing in all things. I'm looking at who is looking at me and reading what I wrote about love endures all things. And it is very, very gratifying to me to do that. So I have the email newsletter. I also have a website. And the website is a dynamic website. And what I mean by that is it really moves and it changes. It's not a static website. I update it every week, usually around a Wednesday or Thursday. And it takes them a few hours to, bring the new prayers in. But every week I update the prayer. I update the meditation. I update questions for reflection. All the things that I'm doing pastorally are on that website. And if you want to learn about the missions that I'm a part of, you can see them right there. And so I want you to think about this. I want you to think about hoping all things, loving this ministry as part of your love of all things. I'm not saying love Nick Hood III Ministries as the only thing that you love. Love your mother, love your father, your sister, your brother, love your children, love your church. But I want you to love this ministry too, particularly if this ministry is meaningful to you. If it's meaningful to you, I want your love. And I want your love through your prayers. I want your love through writing me letters like Ernest Perry. I want your love by you calling me. And, because I'm new and I'm just starting out, guess what? I have time to talk to you. I have time to pray with you. If you call me, when the ministry gets so big that I can't call you, then we have something else to deal with. But I have no problem doing that. And matter of fact, I look forward to it. I'm a pastoral minister. And that's part of what you learn in the ministry and you grow into, which is you're not much of a minister if you don't love people. And frankly, I love people. And guess what? I love you. I don't know you. I may not know you, but I love you. And I'm only doing this out of love because I know that somebody is thirsting for the Word of God. So my friends, I leave you with this word today. Bear all things, believe all things, hope all things, endure all things. God bless, God keep you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. You've made my day, and I am praying for you. God bless.
Thank you for watching today's program. We hope you've been blessed in a powerful way. Just knowing you took the time to watch today's broadcast is a great encouragement to Pastor Nick Hood. If this broadcast has been a blessing to you, we ask that you mail a tax-free donation to Nicholas Hood Ministries at 4535 Chrysler Drive, Detroit, Michigan,